Gentleman from Texas yields back. The gentleman from South Carolina, Mr. Norman's recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank each of you for being here. You know, by hearing the conversation and the questions that are being asked, it shows you the dichotomy that we have. Now, I like my good friend Al, but I don't know what a black bank is, nor do I know what a white bank is. I know what an American bank is.
Will the gentleman yield?
Y'all are in a,
I can tell you what a black bank is.
hold on, let me finish. I'll get after with you. I don't know whether a black bank or white bank. I know an American bank. Y'all are in a competitive business. And Ms. Owens, I mentioned to you, what we're battling up here is just what my good friend Ms. Garcia said. Their answer is government regulations to everything you do. Junk fees, taking credit reports that omit bad debt. I'm sorry, you rank credit as it is, and all you have to go on is history. And so and that's why the American people chose, 77 million, chose not to continue the last disastrous 4 years of government regulations that each one of you have talked about. And this DEI, thank God President Trump has eliminated that. It's merit-based. And some of the most successful bankers I know have been of all races. When you get a bank loan, you don't look at, and I'm sure my good friend will realize that if he goes to get a bank loan for a property, if one with, I guess he describes as a black officer, has a 5% higher rate on the interest rates versus someone that is a different color, he's going to pick the lower rate because it's better for him. Anyway, my point is to you, Ms. Owens, y'all need to stay involved to fight this kind of thing because, as has been mentioned, the CFPB has been overregulated and an agency that should be abolished, and which hopefully we'll try to do. But you've got more power than you realize as far as your customer base, and you're in a competitive business with other banks. You get big because of good service, because of being competitive, not for making bad loans where you don't know what the credit score is and where you're forced to hire somebody because anything other than merit, which I'm glad this president is doing. Mr. Kennedy, I know in your testimony you mentioned that serving as a bank board member or control investor should be rethought. You also said that appropriate pricing of examination application fees may be adjusted. And I agree with both of those. Would you give me some, I guess, guardrails that you would recommend?
Well, it's difficult to do that. I do think just the initial point is that the industry should be self-funding. So we've got the regulatory structures, but they need to be efficient as well. They need to be educated. And if we need to provide the funding for the regulatory agencies to understand what's going on and better understand what's going on in technology, AI, and what the future will bring, that's the key point in my view there. Director liability is an issue that's been in the law for a long, long time, and it's gotten worse. And if you just step back and say, why don't we have as many community banks? That's one of the key reasons. So we've got to rethink that. I don't have any immediate, I can provide some more detail about it, but it's a topic that keeps people from going into that business.
I agree with you. And community banks, we all have been on bank boards, pretty much everybody up here. But it's regulations that keep bank boards back from showing profit on the bottom line. It's the reluctance of board members to get involved because most states need tort reform. South Carolina is one of them that indirectly affect your banks. What can we do more to incentivize and help what you're doing? And Ms. Rainey, I'll start with you and you can go down the line.
These conversations are a great start, but I think, as we've talked here today, de novo, and as Mr. Kennedy alluded to, how we create new charters, how we ensure in regulation, whether it's our ability to work with fintechs and create a community bank fintech partnership and some clear rules of the road would be incredibly helpful. how we ensure that the examination environment is, again, proportionate to the risks that we represent. So for well-capitalized, well-managed institutions to extend the timeline between those examinations. As we've reviewed here today, I think there's many pieces where, again, let's think about it about a not a one-size-fits-all solution.
Thank y'all so much.
Gentleman's time has expired.